Imagine you're driving down the highway. Everything feels normal. The music is playing, traffic is moving, and you're not thinking about your car at all. Then suddenly, without warning, your brake pedal drops straight to the floor. No resistance, no stopping power, just panic. Most people would call that a freak accident, but in many cases it isn't. It's the result of something that was visible underneath the car weeks or even months before it failed. A corroded brake line, a damaged component, a warning sign nobody noticed because nobody looked. And that's exactly why today's video matters. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you 5 things hiding underneath your car right now that can cost you thousands of dollars in repairs, leave you stranded on the side of the road, or in some cases, create a serious safety risk if they're ignored. The good news is that you don't need to be a mechanic. You don't need expensive tools. You don't even need to put your car on a lift. All you need is a flashlight, a few minutes, and the willingness to get down and take a look. Before we begin, think about how much money you've spent on your vehicle. The purchase price, the insurance payments, fuel costs every week, tires, registration, maintenance. Most people invest thousands of dollars into their cars every year, yet many drivers never spend 5 minutes inspecting what's happening underneath them. They wait until a warning light appears. They wait until a strange noise develops. They wait until something breaks. The problem is that many expensive failures don't announce themselves. They don't make noise. They don't trigger warning lights. They simply get worse until one day they fail. That's what makes these checks so important. Let's start with the first thing you should inspect: the oil pan and drain plug. Get down beside your car and look underneath the engine. You will see a metal reservoir mounted at the bottom. That's the oil pan. Its job is to hold the engine oil that keeps every moving part lubricated. What you're looking for here is dark staining, wet residue, or active dripping around the oil pan or drain plug. A small oil leak may not seem like a big deal. In fact, many people ignore them for months. But every drop of oil that escapes is oil that is not protecting your engine. As oil levels drop, friction increases, components run hotter, and internal wear accelerates. Eventually, what started as a minor leak can contribute to catastrophic engine damage. Engine repairs can cost thousands of dollars. Sometimes complete engine replacement is required. Catching a leak early can save an enormous amount of money. If you notice fresh oil underneath your vehicle or dark stains around the oil pan, do not ignore them. Now let's move to the second item on the list, and it's something many drivers have never heard of: CV boots. If your vehicle sends power to the wheels through drive axles, you'll find rubber boots located near the ends of those axles. They look like folded rubber cones. Their job is simple but critical. They keep grease inside the CV joints while keeping dirt and moisture out. Over time, these boots can crack, split, or tear. When that happens, grease begins escaping. One of the easiest signs is grease splattered around nearby suspension or drivetrain components. Once the grease leaves, the CV joint begins wearing much faster. At first, you may hear clicking noises while turning. Eventually, the joint can fail completely. Replacing a damaged boot early is relatively affordable. Replacing the entire CV joint is significantly more expensive. That's why a quick visual inspection can save both money and headaches down the road. The third thing to inspect is your exhaust system. Follow the exhaust pipe from the front of the vehicle toward the rear. You are looking for heavy rust, holes, broken mounting points, black soot marks around joints, or sections hanging lower than they should. Most people think exhaust problems are simply annoying because they make a vehicle louder, but the real concern is much more serious. Exhaust gases contain carbon monoxide, an odorless and invisible gas that can be deadly in sufficient concentrations. If exhaust gases escape before reaching the rear of the vehicle, they can sometimes find their way into the cabin, particularly when idling or moving slowly in traffic. That's why holes, cracks, or leaking joints should never be ignored. If you see black soot marks around an exhaust connection, that's often a sign that exhaust gases are escaping. The next item is arguably the most important on this entire list: brake lines and fuel lines. These lines run underneath most vehicles from front to back. Brake lines carry hydraulic pressure that allows your brakes to function. Fuel lines transport fuel from the tank to the engine. Take a careful look at these lines and inspect them for corrosion, rust, kinks, cracks, damage, or wet spots. Here is something many drivers do not realize: brake lines rarely fail instantly without warning. They usually corrode gradually over time. Moisture, road salt, dirt, and age slowly weaken the metal. The danger is that the weakening often goes unnoticed because everything still works normally until the moment it does not. One hard brake application can be enough to cause a severely corroded line to rupture. When that happens, brake pressure is lost and stopping ability can be dramatically reduced. That is why visible corrosion should always be taken seriously. If you see heavy rust scaling or signs of fluid leakage, get the vehicle inspected as soon as possible. Fuel lines deserve equal attention. A leaking fuel line is not only expensive to repair, but can also present a significant fire hazard. Any smell of fuel combined with visible wetness underneath the vehicle should never be ignored. Finally, let's talk about the subframe and control arms. These components form part of the structural foundation of your vehicle. The subframe supports major systems including suspension, steering, and drivetrain components. Control arms help maintain wheel alignment and allow the suspension to move correctly. When inspecting these areas, you're looking for severe rust, heavy corrosion, cracks, bends, or obvious structural damage. Surface rust is common on older vehicles and isn't always a major concern. However, deep rust scaling, flaking metal, holes, or visible cracks are completely different stories. Structural components weaken as corrosion progresses. In severe cases, suspension geometry can be affected, steering can become unpredictable, and component failure can occur. Some drivers assume they would immediately notice a problem this serious, but that's not always true. Corrosion can weaken metal gradually over many years before obvious symptoms appear. That's why visual inspections matter. The reality is that all 5 of these checks can be performed in just a few minutes. Oil pan, CV boots, exhaust system, brake and fuel lines, subframe and control arms. None of them require advanced mechanical knowledge. None of them require expensive diagnostic equipment. Yet these simple inspections can help identify problems long before they become emergencies. Here is something interesting that many people never think about. Performing these checks yourself changes the way you approach vehicle maintenance. You begin to understand the condition of your own car. You become more aware of developing issues. You catch small problems before they become large ones. And over time, that habit can save an incredible amount of money. The vehicles that reach high mileage without major failures are not always the newest or most expensive ones. More often, they are owned by people who pay attention, people who inspect, people who notice changes before those changes become breakdowns. So after this video ends, grab a flashlight and spend 5 minutes looking underneath your vehicle. You might not find anything at all, and that is great news. But if you do find a problem, catching it today could save you from a very expensive repair tomorrow. Let me know in the comments. Which of these 5 checks surprised you the most, and which one you are going to inspect first? And if you found this video helpful, share it with someone who owns an older car. That simple share could help them avoid a breakdown, a costly repair bill, or even a dangerous situation on the road. Drive safe.